So, what age did you join the RAF?
I was 18 years of age.
And out of all the roles in the war, what was it about the RAF that interested you the most?
To get out of the army. No, actually I was a civilian working locally across the, about half a mile away at Chill Depot, which is one of the largest depots in Britain. And I was there, but I didn't like it there because I got two brothers in the army and they wanted to see some action. But they wouldn't let me go at all because I was more useful there than in the army. And I was to desperation, so I went to join the Royal Air Force. I was interviewed. I went to, first of all, my father-in-law. He's there. He's in the Grenadier Guards, and his son, who's my brother-in-law, and they were both in the army. And anyhow, when I found I couldn't go into the army, and I wanted to get out of Chilwell because to me I was wasting my time. I was learning, but I was still wasting my time. And so I went to the recruiting centre in Nottingham. There had two recruiting centres, one for the Royal Air Force and the rest for everyone else. And I was trying to join anything, the Marines, the Navy, but I was reserved occupation of them all. But as I was coming back to Nottingham to catch the bus back here, I saw a sign, "You are wanted for RAF aircrew." So I went into the recruiting office and the chappie asked me relevant questions and things, which I answered. He said, "Yes, I think you'll be a suited candidate. I'll give you a railway warrant to go to Birmingham for attestation." So he did that, gave me a warrant. And 2 days later I went to Birmingham and a 3 days attestation. I put you through the ropes very well, went from every head to your toenails. And first of all, give you a very good medical, and you couldn't be 99%, you had to be 100%, everything. And however, after that, and during that time, well, not only did we have all general knowledge questions and tests on English, geometry, all these type of things what you'd had at school. And they said well, I'd make a very good flight engineer. So, but I'd have to take a test first. So they sent me into a workshop, which was all modern and everything. And they gave me a piece of metal 5 inches by 4 inches. You had to cut a piece out the side, so you got then a 1 inch block. You had to fit that in the centre of what was left. And I did this, and after about half an hour, I got it all done. And there's a sergeant coming around and said, "Where's your piece? I've done it." "Impossible." He said, "They're still cutting out the initial thing." And I said, "Well, no, there you are." So he went away and came back with an officer, and he accused me of taking a ready-made piece in, so I'd done it so quickly. So it stuck in my memory, as I say. And I said, "No, they're going to throw me out because could have found anything like that." Anyhow, at the final selection, I said I wanted to be a pilot. You say, "Well, we all want to be pilots in the RAF." He said, "Well, you've got the qualifications for a pilot, but you've got better qualifications as a flight engineer. And we're very, very short of flight engineers. We've got plenty of pilots," he said, "but they've a lot of long training. The pilot's training, I think, got to 18 months, whereas a flight engineer, I think we came out at about 8 months or something like that." So that's why I joined the RAF. And the selection board, they said to me, "Why did you want to join the RAF?" I said, "I didn't." I beg your pardon. I thought I was cracking, you see. And I said, "No, I didn't." I told them I just told you. "Oh." So there we are. So I went, and within a few months went in. And I had to be in the RAF Volunteer Reserve. If I'd been in the ordinary RAF, they couldn't have accepted me because of my thing at Chilwell here. So that's how I joined the RAF.
Was it an enjoyable job?
very interesting, yeah. But a piece of cake for me because I was working on tanks over the road there, and some of those had normally aspirated Merlin engines in, of course all the Lancasters and Halifax, lots of aircraft. So to me that was a piece of cake, and that's it pretty well, yeah.
Could you describe what you were doing when you were told that you'd be flying to Prague?
Well, we used to do a lot of this, fetching prisoners of war and flying troops out, and so it was just another day's work for us. So we flew into Prague, and although I think it was August, I was very cold in the aircraft because we flew at a reasonable height. When I got there, I was really cold, and so we had to get debriefed. And who debriefed us? The Russians. And they debriefed us, and they brought us some black bread. I've never seen black bread before, and some colourless liquid, which we found out later was vodka. We know they used to have vodka in England at all. I did a special line. I'd never had it before. And that warmed me up, that did, so I can't drink every one. So.
What were the Russians like when you first met them?
Very aggressive. And anyhow, I must say they looked after us all right in Prague, stayed in a very good hotel and everything. And anyhow, being a young lad as I was then, 18, 19 years of age, we decided to go dancing. So there's three of us of the crew. So we went to a dance hall about half a mile away, and it'd be about 8:30. I just started dancing with the girls. All of a sudden, it stopped. The band started putting away their instruments. So what's going off? They said there's a curfew on. Curfew? Yes. Oh, that didn't apply to us. Come on, get the band going again. We're not Russians. They were all nervous, so badly. The girls couldn't dance. So after about 10 minutes, we said, OK, we're off back to the hotel. So we went and chatting, going along. All of a sudden an armoured car pulled up across the road and Russians shouting Russian, whatever they say, we don't know. So two fingers up at them. Next thing you know, they opened up the automatic fire.
So they shot at you?
Yeah, well, I mean, it must have been very bad aim or something, just frightening shots. And because we've got guns as well. So we're wild west for a few minutes. Anyhow, fortunately for us, a jeep pulled up with an English army officer, and he said, "What are you guys doing?" We told him. He said, "There's a curfew on." I said, "That doesn't apply to us." He said, "It does to anyone, unless you're actually on duty." Well, we're not on duty. Are you on duty? He said, "Nothing to do with me, I'm just..." So I told the Russians everything was all right. He said, "If I was you, I'd get back to the hotel quickly because these patrols are going around and they soon shoot you if you don't answer the right questions." So that was that. So we got back to the hotel and got up next morning and then went back to our aircraft, and they delivered these children to us.
Did you know at the time who you were collecting?
No, we didn't know we were collecting at the time, no. So we've got these things, we've got lots of prisoners of war back and things like that. We knew they were prisoners of war, and people had to get back quickly. So we flew out, and they dropped the bomb in Japan. Fortunately, we're talking to you now. And so then we were going out to supply the Tiger Force, which was the invasion of Japan. But fortunately, dropped the bomb. And so consequently, we still went. We were taking supplies, medical supplies and all those things, bringing prisoners of war back into India. We were stationed near Delhi, a place called Santa Cruz. And from there we went to all points as far as Singapore, Sri Lanka as it is nowadays, and right out, I did that for quite a long time, and did a lot of flying there, and Singapore, as far as Singapore for a few months. And anyhow, our tailplanes used to started dropping off. That's a tailplane there, you see. That's a Rudder, and the tailplane's there. That's a Sterling. That's extinguished by that, and the Lancaster and the Halifax have got twin. It's on the edge of the wing. So I'm just reading about a friend of mine.
What was the atmosphere like in Prague when you arrived?
Well, I say it's under military rule still, you know, kind of. Everything was. I don't know what shops were. I never went in shops or anything like that. So, as I say, we didn't meet many Russians really.
When you first met the children, what did you say to them?
Well, we was a little bit surprised because these children came on board, and I had to seat them with no seats in those days, no safety belts or anything like that. I had to sit on their belongings, and I think about 12, 15 there, and so getting ready for the flight. So I told them to stay still, don't move around. The airplane keys. You know, well, I couldn't speak English. They spoken English, but emphasised to signs. And anyhow, they had to go forward for takeoff because that's one of my busiest times, takeoff, with the fuel and everything else, engines and what have you. So after I was airborne for about 10, 15 minutes, I put all the instruments on combat mode, so if anything happened, they want to get worried. So I went back and these, well, by the way, before we went off, gave these two boys a bar of chocolate each, these children of it, and came back and they sticked all over the aircraft, all over, and I said, what the heck's going on here? And they were angry voice, I suppose, because they couldn't understand what I was saying, and they all cowered. You know, all cowered together, thought I was going to go and beat them up or something like that. And I said, no, if you help me to clean up the mess, which they did, and after finish, they all came and put their arms around me and kissed me and everything else, you know, because they never had any affection, I suppose, with where they'd been for the past 5 or 6 years, you know. And then when we got to, I had to then nip over and see how they're going every 10, 15 minutes. It was pretty good weather, so there was no panic at all. Then we landed at, we didn't go with the majority of them. We went to a place near Southampton, and Stony Cross Air Force it was. So we went there, and an ambulance picked these children up, or ambulances, and off they went. And then we had to have the aircraft sanitised, so we decided to stop the night there. So in the mess that night, I was talking to one of the chaps who took the children away, I think as a medic. He was a medic. And I said to him, I was rather surprised at these children. They're so well fed and chubby. I thought it'd be like Belson kids, skin hanging off. And things like, oh, he said, no, he said, they're worse than that. So how do you mean? He said, they're full of water. Or the body's full of water. That's why I go into the hospital, because we checked a few out within the very short time we were there, and we don't think they'll survive. So that was kind of, that's the last we heard of anything, you see, until it came through the Sterling Society, and I think Trevor, they got to, and then they said I was the only one to, and a survivor of any of the airmen on that trip. Anyone they could find anyway. And they tried all the squadrons, apart from mine, because we went from England to the Far East, you see, so it wasn't listed. Anyhow, there we are.
So how long after the war were you in the RAF for?
After the war, the war ended in May 1945, and I came out or discharged in 1947. I was in Far East till 47, and I got a fractured spine, which I'd received on some of my operations, which didn't seem very serious at the time, but when I was out in the Far East, I was stooped like an old man like I am now, stooped, and because one of the crew used to, they didn't pull it to give the pain and the relief of standing up straight. Anyhow, when we got stationed permanently near Delhi, an RAF near Delhi, we sent me to the army hospital because there weren't many RAF there, and they X-rayed me and found out I'd fractured my spine. So they put me on a wooden bed for quite a few weeks. I was all black and blue with bruises because so they could proceed in those days, and recommended I be discharged in the RAF as soon as possible. It still took another 4 or 5 months for me to send me back to England, and they put me in hospital there and decided that I wasn't fit for RAF duties. So I wanted to stop in the RAF. You know, although I was a volunteer reserve, I was going to stop in because I was doing quite well. And anyhow, there we are.
Do you what did you do after you were discharged from the RAF? What did you go on to do after that?
Got married. I've been courting my wife since we were 16, courted and engaged, and we got married. Because our parents wouldn't allow us to get married. You had to be 21 before you get married in those days. Can you imagine that nowadays? Well, they don't bother getting married, do they? And however, we got married, and I actually started work on my 22nd birthday. I'm still on this leave to then, because I hadn't got any money, you see, and to be getting married, and so I wanted a bit of money. So I got jobs until the end of my leave, then I got a more permanent job, and anyhow, finished up with various jobs, going up a ladder, and I got to be a sales representative of Smith's Clocks and Watches. Do you know Smiths at all? Smiths of England. And whereabouts do you come from, by the way? It's like Windermere, yeah. We got one in near south in Wales. Anyhow, I was stationed in Nottingham to start with, and after about 18 months I was promoted to Birmingham. I created a new branch of the Smiths there, and so I was on that for quite a few years, say about 6 or 7 or 8 years, and my son, my God, that's my eldest daughter to see now. She's 71. Got another one at 68. She's up the old neck of the woods now. And another one is the youngest. She used to work for me. Because I built this business up. I had a jeweller's shop in Nottingham. Then I imported clocks and watches from the continent and what have you. And so they formed this business, what was called Shepherd's Clocks and Watches. And I did a bit of manufacturing in Birmingham, things being made for me. And I did clocks, watches, barometers, and supplied all the jewellers and schools and things within about a 70-mile area. I used to, and then on the continent, going over there buying clocks and watching things. And so I took up to 35,000 miles a year. So I did a lot of travelling in those days. And always had a decent car, what have you. And then we decided I had enough when I was 80. So I retired when I was 80. That was 14 years ago. So that's right up to today now.
Do you miss being in the RAF?
Oh yes, I was part of my life, that was. And I got to be a flight sergeant, but the other things were coming up. But with the war ending, everything was at a standstill. I mean, they put people like me into stores, so we call stores basher, just collecting stores and in a warehouse. So I got a bit of initiative, so I insist on seeing them as the commanding officer. They're saying in Delhi, and he don't very often give you a commission on that. So I went to see him and asked me what it was all about, and I told him. I said, I'm a qualified engineer, and you'll find by my records. I said, we haven't got your records yet. I said, when you get my records, you'll find that I'm a class 1 fitter. And, he said, do you think about cars and things? I said, yes, that was one of my jobs as an apprentice. Right. He said, well, the chap who was in charge of the MT section, motor transport section, he's just been demobbed, so he's just left now. We've got no one to run the place, so we could run it. So I ran this station with about 100 vehicles, I suppose. Got staff, I didn't do any physical work myself. And I did that until they found out about my back, so I doing that job for about a year, 18 months.
And since the flight from Prague in 1945, have you seen any of the children since then?
No.
No. Would you like to?
Well, I haven't met any. I've met, I went to London a few weeks ago, and to the Holocaust there. And Mrs. Cohen, she's, did you know them at all? So you do, And so my son and his wife went with me. So I was very, very impressed with it all. And her son, George Rinder, he kind of were you there? No. Well, I think I had 6 or 7 course meal, dinner. And after each course, someone went up on the stage and Judge Rinder would quiz them. You know, lot of veterans and things like that. There's about 5 veterans, that's all. And each one then they went and they then laid a wreath on behalf of things and said their, whatever they say. And then that was the very last one, so I couldn't put my RAF blazer or anything on until, because I was a surprise, you know, because they haven't been able to find one for years. So it was a surprise packet. So I went up and Rinder, he kind of interviewed me, and similar to what you're doing now. And didn't put in very much, he just asked me things, you know, but they give me a lead I can rattle on for ages, because I've had so many experiences in my life. And anyhow, glad to be here.
What was it like when you were reunited with the children?
Well, you mean when I met there's only, I think, 5, and they all kissed me and shook hands. And my son bought me some chocolates. I gave him a bar of chocolate each. I said, in England, we call that chocolate. And do not eat it quickly, eat it slowly. And that's why they were sick, you see, in the animal. And I told me these chaps could speak perfect English. And they're all younger than me, at least 5 or 6 years younger than me, because I don't think they were anything from 8 to 12 to 14, things like that. And anyhow, it caused a bit of a laugh, and they followed me around and the rest of the time there, and they'd get pumping my hand and things, because they all said, oh, there weren't many of those left at all. I think it was 700 altogether to come from Prague. The majority went to your neck of the woods. But to say, we're the only aircraft to go somewhere else, as far as I know, that is. Anyhow, I've got 1 or 2 things if I can tell them. It's the next